Hey everybody, welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. Today we have Randy Taran, who is the founder of Project Happiness, and we are going to today be talking about a book she just recently wrote, Emotional Advantage: Embracing All Your Feelings to Create a Life You Love. And this is part three of a three-part series. We were talking about happiness and what is the nature of lasting happiness, a conversation that Randy had with the Dalai Lama along with some other students. And then we were talking about the research and specific habits that you can develop to change the way that your brain is wired so that you can have a happier brain and a happier life. And at the end of that segment, we were talking about specifically about emotions and how she was hearing from some of the people on social media. What can I do about emotions? And at the tail segment, we were saying that most people, you have a choice of what you do with your emotions. You can suppress them, tamp them down, pretend they don't, deny them, problem that they don't exist. You can explode with them, or you can use name it and tame it, so that these emotions will be our friends, and that these emotions we can learn that they actually inform us, protect us into a place of safety. And so now I wanted to dig into one of the big ones. In the first segment, you're saying that stress is one of the number one things that keeps us in unhealthy. It's one of the places that is the number one cause of health problems. Was that it?
Yes, it's called of disability.
Of disability. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, so what do we need to know about anxiety? What's the different, and first, before we go into that, I think one of the concepts that was related to this that you write in the book is about harmonious passion and obsessive passion. How does that fit into this dialogue?
yeah. So, when people are passionate about something, so let's say it is a sport, right? Use that as an example. Um, so they can enjoy the sport and then they can leave it. They can stop when they want. It makes them feel more energized and they can, prioritize, okay, I'm going to do it at this time in my life and, you know, I can have more energy for my relationships. But if you are obsessed about that sport, let's say, you're training for something and it's your one focus and it becomes everything in your life. That's all. So that in a way, it's monopolizing not only your time, but in a sense, that can control you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even if somebody is a workaholic, for example, that workaholic in their work or workaholic in their sport passion, that can lead to burnout. And it depletes your energy after time and it makes you run down and it can take over what used to be your priorities and become the one focal point and lead to conflict and undermine your relationships. So, and it can take other people down with you. Your family, for example, you might be ignoring them more. So, there's a continuum, there's a fine line. Passions are fabulous because it's just, you can be in a flow state when you're passionate about something. You can draw in all this wonderful energy and information and creating something new. But, you know, everything has to be looked at in the context of the whole.
Okay, so when I look at this and I'm thinking about anger, which is one of the three things that was mentioned on your site, it seems like there's anger, which is like I'm so angry about the homelessness situation. I'm going to use that passion that I have of anger, which is to, if I think about what are the positive things about it, it's informing that I feel something is not right. It's not integrity with what I
Yeah,
believe in.
yeah,
And I feel like I need to protect and feel safety in this world for myself and for others. So let's say that that's where the anger is generated. So there's a positive intent behind that anger. Um, and then if I start going and and I become obsessive, I may actually be yelling and screaming at people who don't notice homeless people, or taking into a sense of fanaticism and
Yeah.
making other people wrong for not caring about the same issue at the same level that I do. So I can see that an anger.
I love where you're going
Yeah,
with
it's like anger. It has this kind of like obsessive and harmonious kind of passion, and I get how that emotion um, informs and protects us and gives us a sense of some inner expectation that is not met, and that's actually super helpful. It's actually that anger, that motion of anger, can really
that.
help us.
Yeah.
So, how does that work with anxiety and worry?
Okay, so there's a healthy anxiety.
Hmm.
Like if you are studying for a presentation or a test or something like that, you want to have a little bit of that because then you're going to push yourself to do well. Or um, if you're hiring a lawyer for something, you want that lawyer not to be like, oh, happy-go-lucky, like,
Everything will turn out
yeah,
well with your
how's
divorce.
everyone? Yeah, it's all good. Yeah. You want them to be, detail oriented and kind of have a little bit of concern about how things are going to be. So that's that's a healthy part of anxiety. But then when anxiety that okay, and in that time, it rises and falls, and our bodies are made to experience that and then let it dissipate. But when there is a low level or high level buzz of anxiety that is there, you know, over long periods of time, then the cortisol kicks in and you are just weakening yourself. You're always anxious. You're worried. You're distracted from all the good things that are available in life, and you end up feeling more more anxious to the extent that it can evolve into generalized anxiety, and that can really be debilitating.
Yeah.
So,
It can feel like a
yeah,
knock on the door.
yeah,
I can even feel it. I can hear it. Okay,
yeah.
so
But anxiety can also be a wake-up call
yeah.
that tells you that something you try and keep on and carry on. You try and, you know, some aspects in your job are really weighing you down and all that, but you're going to get through it. But then all of a sudden you're getting migraines or you're getting ulcers or you're getting anxiety attacks. Hello, anxiety is trying to give you a
Right,
message.
like there's actually bodily responses that
Yes,
like if you're not sleeping, if you're
yes,
biting your nails, if you're whatever, you're going to, in the shamanic they talk about light and shadow. So you're going into like the shadow sides
yeah,
of stress, right? I mean,
right.
feeling like energized and a little bit like excited to get your work done, and like I'm facing the unknown and I'm not sure, and it's making me excited to the point like I'm not sleeping and I'm stressed out all the time.
Right.
There's just like this, like figuring out how to balance those two. And how about guilt and shame? How would you look at that?
Okay, so there is some people tend to put guilt and shame in the same boat,
Hmm.
but it really isn't. Guilt will tell you, okay, I did something wrong. I'd like to make amends. I feel my conscience is kicking in.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and I want to make it right, right?
Hmm.
So that can be a good thing. It can activate you.
Hmm.
But shame, on the other hand, makes you feel that I am wrong. I am messed up.
Hmm.
Not the situation. There's something wrong with me, and that will not take you to where you want to be. So, guilt is I made a mistake. Shame is I am a mistake.
Hmm.
Guilt is I recognize my behavior was wrong, and shame says others can see through to my core flaws.
Wow,
And
that's great.
and yeah. And also, guilt allows you to reach out to others and look for solutions, but shame makes you isolate, saying this is my business. And many people self-medicate in order to cope with those feelings
Yeah, so
of
it could
shame.
be that guilt is maybe it's like it's there to inform, protect, give you information about you're saying if you said emotion is the definition is um uh, energy in motion, right?
Emotion.
So
Yes.
like here you have energy that's like, I feel like I need to do something. I may have made a mistake. But then, if you're moving to the obsessive quality of shame, where you take it to identify that mistake as being
Yeah.
you, then you've
Yeah.
gone too far
Right.
along the spectrum. So it's almost like this balancing act of when to know when you've gone too far. And so, what are, when people are actually, how does knowing this translate to some of the people on the website who brought this up? What are some of the active things that they're doing to change the equation to accept what you had said that from talking to Dan Siegel and others is that accepting our feelings, naming it, accepting it. I'm feeling
Hmm.
stress. I am feeling, and I accept that I have this stress, and so that's naming it and then taming it is kind
Right.
of like knowing where it is on this continuum, and then knowing what the next step is. Have I stepped
Beautiful.
over to one side or
Beautiful.
the other? Is that
Yeah.
is that the next
Beautiful.
step?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, that you've got it exactly. And
Okay.
and knowing that you're naming it, that's that's so you know where you are on that spectrum, but also knowing that you are not your thoughts. You
Yes.
know, thoughts and feelings come and go. They are not your essential self, you know?
Yes, there's
And
states of emotion, there's states of consciousness that flow in and out, just like a
exactly.
rainstorm. You can
That's
just
right.
try if you kind of like focus on the rainstorm and just put yourself in a cloudy place. It can be there for a long time. It's going back to the thing that you were talking about initially of the habits. It's having a positive narrative and positive way of looking at everything versus kind of casting like it's raining and I'm going to
Yes,
be in stormy storm all the time.
right.
Um,
And when you know that rain is coming on, you know that you're going to be in a situation that's going to trigger you, you know,
yes,
then you know your triggers. You know this person sets you off. You know that Thanksgiving dinner is like, you know
right,
what I mean? So you can more easily observe, okay, that's what I'm going into. What are my choices? What kind of outcome do I want? Do I want to be triggered by this person, or what can I plan to do in advance so that I can, you know, feel good
right,
and you know, so that kind of thing. It brings you to a point of choice.
right. Getting
Yeah.
to a point of choice so that you already know. I mean, like you said in the second part, is that you have a monkey mind that has like, yes, I will see banana, open up banana and eat it. Like this is just like I'm not going to think twice that maybe I have like a handful of bananas. I should space this out over the week. No, I'll eat all 7 bananas immediately, right? So we have these habits. How can we start changing those habits? All of which are talked about in your book in Emotional Advantage. We've been talking to Randy Taran, the founder of Project Happiness. You can go to her website and participate in developing these 7 great habits that you can do every single day and learn from her website and her book. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's wonderful talking with you. I love the way you put everything on the spectrum and just you got it in such a deep way. So I enjoyed our
Thank you.
conversation so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.